Hi folks, Richard Pallaziol here with Weapons of Choice. Now today I'm going to explain a little bit about retractable knives. We get calls for them every year, and I'm going to tell you why you shouldn't use them in film or theater, and maybe a better alternative. But first and foremost, retractables are absolutely unsafe. Dozens of actors have been seriously wounded by them, and I'm talking requiring hospitalization, emergency treatment, surgery, coming this close to dying wounded. Some of the stories hit newspapers, the vast majority don't. On a regular knife, the steel of the blade runs through the guard and continues into the handle. It's what gives the knife its strength. From end to end, it's a solid piece of steel. On a retractable or collapsible knife, the blade is made of two parts. The larger part is hollow, and the smaller part floats inside the hollow shell. Inside the hollow portion will be a compression spring, pressing against the bottom of the floating portion of the blade. On some blades, the hollow area will be just a section of the visible blade, and in those cases, only part of the blade will disappear during the stab, of course. With others, it's the handle which is hollow, and the blade can disappear more deeply. But either way, when the tip of the blade is pressed against something, the blade retracts into the handle, and then is pushed back out by the spring when the stab is over. Well, most of the time. There are other times when the blade presses ever so slightly against the edge of the handle opening. It's very easy to do if you don't hit your partner directly at 90 degrees to their target. And the same thing can also happen if the end of the spring opens up slightly, and that presses in to the interior portion of the retractable. Either way, the piece cannot retract, and the actor gets impaled with a blunt, fake blade. This is exactly what happened rather famously during a performance at an opera in New York many decades ago. The singer was not only impaled, but she suffered a collapsed lung, which could have easily proved fatal. Now, when examined, the knife was found to be in perfect working order. There was nothing wrong with the knife. Insurance companies began reviewing the injury rates related to these things, and concluded that they are too dangerous to use. Most insurance carriers will not cover injury claims for a show in which a retractable is used, even if the injury has nothing to do with the knife, because they consider the use of retractables to be proof of an unsafe work environment. What is worse is that this continues to happen, which to me is simply obscene. Have you noticed that you can't buy a metal retractable knife? In this country anyway, you can only get the cheap novelty items sewn at Halloween stores. I guess the thinking behind that is that the plastic blade would break if it were to jam before it could do any human damage. I think that's just wishful thinking, but I don't know of any prop company that is willing to risk the liability of selling something made out of stronger material. But that hasn't stopped the injuries. These days, most injuries to actors from retractables are made by items built by the technical department of the theater in which they're used. I consider these things so dangerous that when I go to theaters to evaluate their weapon stock, I advise immediately destroying any retractable I find, metal or plastic. A retractable knife cannot be constructed, designed, or retrofitted to be safe. Patting the victim, that doesn't help. Padding shifts, armor fails, joints open, and stabbing actors miss. So what can you do instead? For theater, you have fight choreographers who are trained in creating illusions of stabbing without ever putting their actors in danger. In film, you have a wealth of editing techniques that can make a stab look fabulously real. But no one ever needs to actually bring the tip of a weapon in direct contact with another human being in order to create that illusion. In case anyone is missing my point here, let me simplify. All retractables for theatrical use should be destroyed. I know this is kind of a downer, but please, it's important information, so spread the word. Please hit the like button, I'd appreciate that very much. And please subscribe in order to catch future videos. But for now, goodbye and play safe.